The next fallacy is called a strawman fallacy. This is similar to ad hominem, and it's important not to confuse it with an ad hominem fallacy. It's very easy to do so. The main similarity is that with strawman, you're also responding to an opposing argument. So just the same as with ad hominem, this fallacy can specifically only occur in a sort of a debate context. The arguer has to be responding to an opposing argument. What makes it a straw man fallacy is that in responding to the opposing fallacy, the person misrepresents that view. And then they pretend to have defeated the opposing argument, when really they haven't said anything about it. And if this is done in a way that's clever enough, they're going to choose a view that's similar enough that you may have a hard time distinguishing between the original opponent and the fake opponent. So the person essentially is setting up this fake opponent, which is why it's called straw man. Right? It's like you're beating up a straw man. It's not the real opponent. So, for example, somebody says, "I think Superman is the best superhero because he stands for truth, justice, and the American way." And then, it's a silly thing to be debating about, but suppose I wanted to argue against this person. So I say, so the opponent here thinks that Superman's the best hero because it stands for truth, justice, and the American way. So the American way. So you want to wipe out all other ways of existing on the planet. You basically want to have a cultural Nazism where the American way is the only way that goes. I think that's a disgusting reason to say Superman is a great character. And of course, I'm the person didn't say wipe out other cultures and everything. They just said the truth, justice, and the American way. That doesn't necessarily mean wiping out other cultures. So I've misrepresented my opponent. This may actually, I may actually make a sound point about some other view. I may actually defeat the fake opponent if I'm committing the straw man. Now, the accident fallacy happens when someone takes a general rule, a rule of thumb, that is, or a principle that's not meant to be 100% of the time. It's a general rule. And then the person applies that rule as if it was a hard and fast rule about every single case. So, but they're applying it to a case that's exceptional, and where the rule doesn't really apply, and it was never meant to apply. So, for example, I say, we're at a party and your friend has been drinking a lot and they're pretty drunk, and you take their keys away from them. And then if I was to say, "Hey, you can't do that. That's theft. You're not allowed to take someone's keys away from them. That's their property. So you have to give them back." That the right thing to do would be to give your drunk friend their car keys back so they can drive home. I'm applying this rule about returning people's property, and I'm applying it in a case where it's not meant to apply to that case. So I'm either acting like the rule has no exceptions, which is not true, or else I'm acting like this is just a standard case, and you can't really tell which one it is. Now, the last fallacy from this section is the red herring fallacy. And this is kind of a generic fallacy category. It's kind of a catch-all term, red herring. It's just an argument where points are brought up that are irrelevant to the conclusion, and it's not one of the other relevance fallacies. So I bring up something that's irrelevant, but not specifically my opponent's character, not specifically what most people believe, not specifically something that's supposed to scare you, just an irrelevant point. And what I'm trying to do with a red herring fallacy is essentially distract you from the original point, um, so that I go on to make a solid point about this other issue, and then I act as if I've proven the point on the original issue. Sometimes we sort of bend the definition of fallacy to fit this fallacy in. It doesn't exactly fit the definition as well as the others, because I said a fallacy was a defective argument. Sometimes a red herring fallacy occurs when the person actually changes the subject so that they give an argument for a different conclusion when when it's been established that that a different issue was at hand. So instead of having a defective argument for my conclusion, the fallacy isn't having a defective argument for my conclusion. The fallacy is that wasn't supposed to be the topic at all. It wasn't supposed to be the point. So I've sort of diverted attention over to this other point. So, for example, if somebody asks me, somebody asks, say, a politician, right? Politicians often commit this red herring fallacy when they're asked a specific question, and then they say, "I'm glad you asked that question," and then, of course, they proceed to talk about something completely different. And it's a red herring fallacy. So somebody asks this politician, why do you think they should build more? You said they should fund charter schools, let's say, and so why do you think there should be more charter schools? And the politician responds, "Well, I'm glad you asked that question. You know, education is the most important issue we face today. America should be #1 in education, and we're not. We rank relatively low among industrialized nations, and we've got to do something about it. Something's got to change immediately, and we need to take drastic action regarding the improvement of education. And if you look into my program, you'll see that it's evidence-based and based on solid research. So we're going to do something about it, right?" And then just act like that's it. They've answered the question. When in fact, right, the original topic was not, is education good? The original question was charter schools. Why charters? Why is that the answer, right? So the person just kind of diverts away. And if I'm giving you, like I said, I'm giving you absurd examples, but in a realistic case, if the person is good at making the topic seem similar, and if they're good at distracting you conversationally, it can be difficult to detect that this has happened. One reporter made a comment on interviewing Bill Clinton where she said, I asked him this question, don't remember what the question was, but he talked to me for a good two and a half minutes. And while he was talking, I remember thinking, wow, this is really in-depth. This is a great answer to my question. And it wasn't until a half an hour or so later, I thought about it again. I realized, wait a minute, he didn't answer the question at all. So, if a person is clever in the way they do this, it gets disguised and you get distracted and forget about the original topic. That's the end of the fallacies of relevance. Next, we'll turn to different kind of fallacies, fallacies of weak induction. And so I'll see you in the next video.